Hello, thanks for joining me. I hope everyone's doing good. I'm really excited today to introduce a new product from Solve Product Design. We're a small engineering and manufacturing company here in Winnipeg, Canada. I guess to be a little bit more precise, I don't have anything to show you right this second, but if you're watching this, it must mean I came up with something. So I hope you'll stick around till the end and you and I can both find out what it is. But first, a little backstory. In the spring of 2023, I was planning a fairly big motorcycle camping trip on my Honda CB500X. I needed a luggage rack for that trip, but I didn't really like what I found in the market, so I decided to come up with my own design, and I documented that process for YouTube. If you're interested in that, I'll see if I can put a link to it up here in the corner or down in the video notes. The response to that video was amazing. I couldn't have asked for more. I had all kinds of people asking if they could buy a luggage rack from me. And so I decided to set up a website for sales and manufactured a small production run here in my workshop. Since then, I've shipped luggage racks all around the world. There's people sporting my products on their bikes throughout Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Belgium, France, Luxembourg, Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Hungary, Ireland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, United Kingdom, the Philippines, and even up in Iceland. So the response has been just phenomenal. I've gotten to meet and chat with so many like-minded people who enjoy motorcycle travel and adventures. But getting back to my trip, I did get to go on that trip. I rode down into North Dakota, then I headed west through Montana into Idaho, followed the Rocky Mountains back up to the Canadian border and into BC, where I met up with my brother for a couple weeks of touring around there. And finally, I headed home back east through the Prairie provinces. This summer, I did a similar trip, so I've now put on over 12,000 kilometers on my trusty CB500X and my new luggage rack. So that brings us back to the present and a somewhat harsh reality. Winter has settled in here in the center of Canada, so sadly that's the end of my riding season. But on the upside, it means I have a little more time for a new engineering project. The most common question I get from people now about my luggage rack is, will it fit on the new Honda NX500? And unfortunately, the answer to that is no, it won't fit. But as you might have figured out by now, that's what I'm going to work on next. So just quickly, the reason the rack won't fit the new bike is because the taillight and the rear center cowl have changed. When I designed the rack, I designed it to fit seamlessly with the lines and the look of the CB500X. And to do that, the rack replaces this rear center cowl. Since that part is changed on the new NX500, the rack no longer fits. Okay, I'm going to start by removing the seat. And then these two rear bolts, those come off with a 5mm Allen wrench. And then this rear cowl just snaps back and then lifts off. Now the next step is to cut these two tabs off of the side cowls. And I'm just going to put the knife blade up against the inside of this tab and score a line, a nice straight line on the plastic tab. Now once you've scored it fairly well, you can just lift that up and bend down. and that'll just pop off. You'll feel it break through, and then it's just the back side has to be broken off. So that's nice and flush with the inside. Okay, so this is the old CB500X rack, and everything from here up to this point has stayed the same, because all of these parts on the bike have stayed the same. The side cowls, the grab handles, the mounting for the grab handles, the seat latch with the bracket that holds the rear center cowl, all of that has stayed the same between the CB500X and the NX500. But from here back, which is here on the rack, back has changed. So I've taken a bunch of measurements back here and 3D printed this small test piece just to check the fit with how it mates up with all these components. And that fits pretty nice. There's a bit of a gap around the back here. So I've created a second piece. This is a little bit bigger. This is pretty much the limit of the size on my 3D printer, unfortunately. And this one fits really good. And with this big opening, I can see all the clearances inside to the taillight and the other components in here. So yeah, I am now ready to cut some aluminum. Okay, I think we're ready to try fitting this up to the bike. So I've got the seat off, I've already got this rear cowling off. Going to remove these 4 bolts. And I'm just going to loosen these 2 bolts at the front of the handrails, or the grab handles. Just so these can move a little bit easier to help line all the holes up. So I can already see some minor issues with this, nothing major, but I'll tighten everything down and then we can have a closer look. So I just put these 2 smaller bolts in, snug them down, and then just turn them back about a turn. That kind of positions everything. And then I've got these longer hex head bolts for the main mounts. I won't torque everything down right now because this is going to come off again pretty soon. Okay. So everything looks good from the top. I think I can improve the gap a little bit around the taillight. But first I'm going to check the fit of the seat. That feels like a little bit harder to install. There might be a little bit of contact in there somewhere, so we'll check that out as well. First I'll do a little close-up here. So I'll just do a quick walk around. Looks really great from the top, if I do say so myself. And here's the only thing I'm thinking I'd like to improve a little bit is just the fit. There's a bit of a gap around here that I'd like to improve. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy. Okay, I'm gonna just remove this seat. I'm not exactly sure where it's contacting, if it's maybe the bolt heads or where exactly. But I've got this really high-tech tool here. It's called Play-Doh. And I'm just going to spread some of this around where I think it could possibly be contacting with the seat. Pretty sure it's somewhere in that area. And I'm just going to lay this saran wrap over top just so that the Play-Doh doesn't stick to the seat. And reinstall that. remove it again. And okay, so it looks to me like you can see the rack coming through right there. There's quite a bit of space to that bolt head. Lots of space to the side here, lots of space there. Yeah, I think and this bolt head's okay. So it's just right in there. I'll just paint that out with a Sharpie. Oops, I think I just wiped it off. And then if I peel this off, yeah, I can see it's contacting right there. And that's interesting because this is the same seat from the CB500X. But it seems to me like the seat is actually mounting just slightly forward on the NX500. Not sure why that is, but maybe I can create a little bit more space there in my next revision. So I'll go back to the computer, do some modifications, and try one more time. Okay, here's a second prototype, and what I've done here, hopefully you can kind of see what's going on. I've changed the shape around here a little bit and created a bigger chamfer there and down here. Hopefully that's obvious. Maybe not, but... And then the other thing I did was change this height a little bit to try and close up that gap around the taillight. So I'll install that real quick and then we'll see if it improves things. Okay. That looks a lot better. Yeah, and that clicks on a lot easier now. So I must have created extra clearance. Seems a lot easier to latch if you push at the back of the seat for some reason, I guess. Anyway, I think that's going to be okay. Just looking at the seat where that contacts, so this area corresponds to these little ribs on the seat right here, right in here. So even if those wore a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to destroy the seat or anything. It's still going to be perfectly functional, so not too worried about that. And I have improved the clearance now, so. All right, just do a quick walk around here. Here's the top view. Looks really good. And there's the gap that I was trying to improve, which looks really good now. It's a nice fit. So I think I'll make up a small batch and send them off for powder coating. All right, guys, well, here it is. My supplier, Western Machine Works here in Winnipeg, turned these around in, what was that, 4 days, 5 days? I dropped them off on a Thursday, picked them up on a Tuesday, which was actually Christmas Eve, so thanks so much to those guys for turning that around so quick. And yeah, here I'll give you a little close-up. Hopefully you can see that. Just beautiful, beautiful job. So I'll throw that on the bike and take a closer look. All right, everyone, there it is. Couldn't be happier with the way this turned out. Hope you enjoyed the process and enjoyed watching this video. Sorry it dragged on a little bit longer than I expected, but also pretty excited. My son decided to buy my old CB500X, so looking forward to a few adventures together with him in the near future once the snow melts anyway. If you've got an NX500 and you're looking for a luggage rack for it, love it if you'd check out my website. I'll leave a link to that in the notes below, and I'll have a few for sale on my website soon. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching.